Hello, this is World University and Schools monthly business meeting online. Hello, this is World University and Schools monthly business meeting online in a new format. It's May 18th, 2019, and I'm Scott McLeod, and we'll wait to see if people join us and when, and in the meantime, about this new format, I'm seeking to live stream in the future using YouTube's live stream approach. It's software for this, which is different from YouTube's live Hangout on Air or Google Hangouts on Air. Google Livestream reaches, it's more of a broadcast format. So that's more also in beta presently for Google, I guess, Livestream or YouTube Livestream is in beta right now. So it won't be possible this month to use the live stream approach. So instead, World University and Schools is using the Google Hangouts, live Hangouts on Air here. Larry Veland, who is a very regular monthly business meeting participant, will not be participating this month. But if you've seen the minutes over many years, he and I are the most regular participants in this open participatory monthly business meeting online for World University and School in the manner of, loosely in the manner of friends, of Quakers. So seeks to reach a sense of unity, and as we explore an agenda from a kind of centered place, shall we say. So this monthly business meeting, no one else has expressed interest via email, info@worlduniversityandschool.org, in participating at this point. It's possible someone will send an email in the middle of this hour right now. But I'd like to just explore briefly the agenda and news that are on two different blog posts. And the first item, I'll post these blog post links below the YouTube video, which this live Hangout on Air will record to at youtube.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH. So to get to the minutes, the first minute is, or the first agenda news item is that World University and School, with regards to licensing with the state of California's Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education, BPPE, received the green light for this by attending the BPPE day-long workshop on February 20th, 2019 in San Jose, California, about in the South Bay of the San Francisco Bay Area, and received a further BPPE green light email in on April 22nd, 2019 from the person who facilitated the workshop on February 20th. And that World University and School is proceeding with licensing with the BPPE, and this proceeds and will lead to accreditation, World University and School seeking accreditation with some accrediting body, most likely the WUaS Senior, Western Association of Schools and Colleges Senior. So that's the first item of the news and agenda. The second item is relating to the National Science Foundation Award, which we understood that we had received in January, but unfortunately the $250,000 NSF Award did not come through yet. Having heard in January that the NSF grant that we had should proceed with getting a DUNS number for this NSF award, which was part of the funding process in this awarding, in the way the monies are awarded and then, I guess, allotted or distributed. World University and School proceeded to get a DUNS number from Dun & Bradstreet, a New York City law firm, which I think has a government desk and which oversees this step in the process of getting the DUNS number. And then in a further communication on April 30th, 2019, from our program administrator at the National Science Foundation, Ellen Carpenter, who's been great, we found out we hadn't received it after all at that point. So continuing on with item 2, news and agenda, World University and School had budgeted part of these monies for these NSF monies for the initial Bureau of Private Post-Secondary Education, BPPE fee, and part of these monies for accreditation potentially with WUaS Senior, the accrediting agency, and some of these monies to hire graduate student instructors to teach sections online in group video conferencing to the best CC4 OpenCourseWare OCW faculty in video, potentially at both from MIT and Yale University. So we aren't able to proceed with these next steps of BPPE licensing, then WUaS Senior, then hiring graduate students. World University and School seeks to hire particularly Stanford graduate students and MIT graduate students in the beginning as we proceed forward. And we're exploring what to do next in these regards. And that this has been a major setback for World University and School in a number of ways, but especially with regards to the initial BPPE licensing. So item 3 in the news and agenda for World University and School's monthly business meeting is that we're seeking further collaboration with Stanford Law and Stanford Medicine, potentially in all 200 countries' official and main languages for something like best STEM OpenCourseWare but for medicine and law. And World University and School is in particular in communication about this with Stanford Chair and Professor of Medicine Robert Harrington, MD, Stanford Law Lecturer Roland Vogel. So on the medical school side, conceptually, this could be something like, for OpenCourseWare, this could be something like New England Journal of Medicine continuing medical education modules, CME modules, turned into the first 2 years of a medical school training online, however, in a very new way, defining medicine and medical degrees that are web-centric in anew. It might be continuing medical education modules that Stanford Medicine has, and not necessarily New England Journal of Medicine, Harvard Medicine's CME modules. But it also, these modules would potentially be then translatable into all 200 countries' official and main languages. So into, for example, especially countries' languages that have very, very few medical doctors and might be developing and could be greatly in need of excellent online medical doctor degrees and training, along with an online teaching hospital, which World University and School is planning in each of all 200 countries' languages, for online clinical care and online clinical research. So this is all unfolding. World University and School is glad to be a collaborator in the Stanford Medicine Center for Digital Health, and active and, in a sense, a collaborator participant in Stanford Law Codex, of which Roland Vogel's the executive director. So World University and School is developing toward offering online medical and law degrees, potentially 3 or 4 years out in English first. So the law degree 3rd year out after our potentially first big matriculating undergraduate class this autumn 2019, first matriculating PhD class potentially in 2020, then law would be 2021 matriculating class, and medicine would be 2022. Potentially, as these degrees emerge, we will explore avenues for translation in other countries and other languages as well. The opportunity to create these degrees around the MIT OpenCourseWare in its 5 languages, but because MIT doesn't have a medical school or a law school, seek to develop OpenCourseWare with Stanford Medicine, Stanford Law is enormous, and World University and School is excited about the innovative possibilities also around the excellence of both Stanford Medicine and Stanford Law, and with this digital focus. So the 4th item on the news and agenda, today's monthly business meeting, has to do with live interactive participatory hangouts on air are continuing to meet on Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. So please join, and are also in Hangouts on Air. So therefore, your ideas, your questions, and what you'd like to share, especially. And if you are interested in receiving direct emails about that, email info@worlduniversityandschool.org. There are a couple of recent Hangouts on Air's URLs, website addresses in the monthly business meeting announcement and news if you're interested in seeing what they're about. 5th item is that as an example of a Monday live Hangout on Air from 2 Mondays ago, see the one titled World University and School, 7.5 billion people, and inspiring best STEM CC4 OpenCourseWare. The question of how to develop an inspiring university and grow out of the inspiring MIT OpenCourseWare is explored there, and is definitely something World University and School would welcome your thinking and ideas about, questions, what you'd like to share as well. So I'll just add a few more items that aren't yet in the news and agenda. A little bit about information technology. There's recently on the Wikidata email list a thread going on about how to add libraries to Wikidata. So say you knew of a library with a website and a URL, and it was open and free, and already offering access to books and related media online. How would you add that to Wikidata structured knowledge database, potentially in any of 300 languages which Wikidata and Wikipedia are in? And where World University and School would library resources, Wiki subject page would like to potentially articulate with this is because the Wiki library resources page at World University and School is editable. You could add a library there as a reference or related resources, like a Wikipedia page. And World University and School's MediaWiki front end is not yet connected with Wikidata Wikibase, which we donated ourselves to in 2015 and got this new front end in 2017. Where when people add a library or a library resource to World University and School's library resources page, it potentially will have a connection with Wikidata Wikibase. And potentially that information could be added to Wikidata Wikibase at the same time. This is the unfolding, developing technologies of Wikidata Wikibase with MediaWiki. And we'd like to plan and look towards how that will emerge. I think on our library resources pages as they grow in 300 languages and in multiple directions, we won't necessarily list every library under the sun, but every library under the sun could well have a Wikidata Q item in the structured knowledge database backend. So this helps, this library resources focus is very interesting in these regards. And in a related vein, the Stanford, at Stanford, a Wikidata affinity group is emerging. It's met twice online in Zoom video conference, and I think we'll continue to meet every other week through July of 2020 for an hour, and is open to interested people and librarians everywhere. And potentially in that planning process, the possibility for outcomes and new approaches to engaging Wikidata for libraries is great and interesting and potentially creative and generative. So that's chaired by Hilary Thorson, who's a Stanford librarian. And what World University and School would like to do there too is, as we connect our Wikidata Wikibase structured knowledge database with our library resources Wiki subject pages in 300 languages, is also planned for how the library resources pages at World University and School will unfold with time. And this has implications for our other main roughly 12 areas, including languages, including nation states, each a major university, music school, museums. So this interaction between our front end WUaS MediaWiki with Wikidata Wikibase as a back end potentially will emerge in new ways at World University and School, thanks partly to this Wikidata affinity group, I think. So on item 7 in the news and agenda, also is information technology related. And that has to do with a recent LEGO education robotics picture of a dancing robot that has apparently some, and it's on World University and Schools Twitter feed, twitter.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH. And this dancing robot has some what appear to be virtual world markups, almost like paralleling autonomous driving vehicle AI markups. The robot dances, and these arrows and these squares and angles emerge from this dancing robot. This is exciting for World University and School. It's interest in a realistic virtual Earth and a realistic virtual Earth for robotics, because it suggests to me that it could be the beginning of LEGO robotics in a realistic virtual Earth with this markup paralleling autonomous vehicles, and also therefore with accessible and interoperable and codable with artificial intelligence and machine learning. So how this emerges for kids is another set of questions. How will LEGO WeDo 2.0 robotics education kit be explorable by kids, perhaps in brick street view, where brick refers to a Lego brick on the virtual side, and for this dancing robot virtually made out of WeDo 2, and similarly for Lego Mindstorms EV3. Item 8 has to do with potentially World University and Schools seeking mentorship from John Hennessy, the former president of Stanford, a former professor at Stanford, and the current chair of Alphabet, which is Google's parent company. I went to a Stanford entrepreneurial thought leaders talk on Thursday with Chip Conley, who's an entrepreneur in the Bay Area with having gone to Stanford in the late 70s and early 80s or similar, with 2 Stanford degrees. And it was brilliant. And he also sort of further suggested this idea of seeking mentors. So I think World University and School will continue to explore that avenue. Item 9 has to do with World University and School's ongoing being informed by a kind of friendly process. Quaker monthly business meeting, for example, which these monthly business meetings kind of emerge from conceptually, but also Quaker ethics and Quaker business ethics, which have, a 350-year history in one way or another, including focusing on abolition and investments which are socially responsible, socially conscious, for example. So World University and School, we've been in a way friendly focused, Quaker informed since the beginning in 2007 or so. But this is an ongoing set of questions and focuses for World University and School. Item 10 on the WUaS press side, on the WUaS Corp side, has to do with this idea of potentially becoming listed as a general stock company, not only on an American stock market when we eventually go public, and potentially out of, maybe even a Google Tensorflow machine learning library software approach, where Google Tensorflow could be written to, in a way, coded in a way that a company like the WUaS Press Corp could generate a stock price at the end of each day emerging out of Tensorflow. And other companies could do this too in the US. And potentially even World University and Schools Law School in the US online, and our law school faculty could teach courses about this and facilitate any companies that could be interested to emerge out of a hypothetical TensorFlow stock company software. And to extend this idea a little further, World University and School, in an experimental way, would like to explore, actually the WUaS Press, WUaS Corp, would like to explore becoming listed on each of all 200 countries' stock markets. 206 countries competed in the Olympics in Brazil in 2016. So if World University and Schools could help focus this Google TensorFlow daily stock price generation for the WUaS Press, WUaS Corp, and any other company, could we do this, help focus this development at Google TensorFlow in Japan, in the Japanese language? So TensorFlow would deliver a stock price for all companies, any companies interested in listing on the Japanese stock markets, and in Nigeria, and in South Africa, and in Hong Kong, and in each of all the countries in the world, partly as a way to help develop these countries so that the poorest countries could develop further financial infrastructure that would potentially help them develop with the benefits of now the internet, but also modernity, and hopefully without too many of the downsides of modernity. That's all for planning, and information technology can help with that. And Google TensorFlow, this is in a brainstorming vein, generating stock prices for many companies in all 200 countries, official and main languages, could facilitate that greatly and remarkably. This is a new world with machine learning, TensorFlow software, conceptually generating stock prices. And, if that emerged, this could be an 11th item here in this monthly business meeting. News and agenda. If that emerged with the emergence of a single cryptocurrency with blockchain ledger backed by some number of 200 countries' central banks, that's a big change for the financial markets, the stock markets. If such a single cryptocurrency, and I guess this is a 12th and maybe the last item, with blockchain ledger backed by some number of 200 countries, central banks. Think post Euro in 19 out of 28 countries. Think post backed by 200 countries, backed by 19 out of those 200 central banks. Think post dollar, which is an international currency more so than many pretense. If this could emerge in if a single cryptocurrency with blockchain ledger could be distributed by universal basic income experiments, such as the state of California's Stockton experiment, where Stockton residents are getting $500 a month for 18 months, no strings attached, and these Stockton residents, then either 100 families or 500 people, I'm not sure which, are developing a relationship with the state of California in a new way, and potentially are getting these on in a bank card, or possibly, I don't know exactly the mechanism, the IT mechanism. It's possible that they're also delivered via smartphones. This universal basic experiment could be delivered by smartphones in this state of California's Stockton experiment. If that could be extended to 200 countries and with a single cryptocurrency backed by many countries' central banks, would the state of California become a new kind of parallel Federal Reserve, but on a worldwide basis in all 200 countries? So these are interesting possibilities with information technology, and World University and School and the WUaS Press are hoping to further this. I'm going to bring monthly business meeting to a close. This has been a new format, streaming pretty much to the live Hangout on Air and also saved to YouTube. I want to thank Larry Veland for his great regular participation in monthly business meeting. He's the chair of World University and Schools Board, and also its chief financial officer. And as we seek to grow and build a team, monthly business meeting will continue on the third Saturdays. It's open, it's hour-long, it's participatory. We'll engage streaming it more actively in the future, potentially coming into conversation with Stanford Law Codex approach to building teams in Zoom video conferencing. In a sense, it's a very active Zoom video conference that Stanford Law Codex has with many people from all over the world. And similarly with the Wikidata Affinity group, that Zoom conference on Tuesday mornings, every other Tuesday morning, is drawing lots of people, lots of team potential. That those both may become a model for World University and Schools IT for our third Saturday open monthly business meeting. All are welcome. Thank you for listening to this video if you do, and check out World University on School on Twitter and on YouTube, twitter.com/WORLDUNIVANDSCH, youtube.com/the same, WORLDUNIVANDSCH. If you have questions, thoughts, ideas you'd like to share, info@worlduniversityandschool.org, and that's also the main website, which we're seeking to develop as World University in School unfolds for matriculating students. Potentially this autumn, all to be seen. Thank you, I'm Scott McLeod. This is World University in School's monthly business meeting on May 18th, 2019. See you next week. I think next month it's June 15th, Saturday, third Saturday, 9 a.m. Pacific time. Until then, info@worlduniversityinschool.org, and thank you.